Hi, I'm Bryden Coverdale for ESPNcricinfo, and I'm here with Ian Chappell on the final day of the Boxing Day Test. And Ian, a good win for a developing Australian side. Was it good Australian bowling? Slightly disappointing Indian batting. What do you make of it?
I think it was very good Australian pace bowling. Australia's starting to put together a decent pace attack and a bit of youth there as well. Hilton House has come back well. Pattinson has confirmed what we saw down in Hobart. So some good signs there. Peter Siddle has had a really good summer so far. He's a much improved bowler. So some very good signs there for Australia with the pace bowling. Obviously still some things to sort out with their batting, but I'm not sure that India hasn't got more things to sort out with their batting. Certainly at the top of the order, Gambhir has got a real problem in Australia. If he's just going to continue to poke outside off stump, the Australians will love that, and he'll just replicate fielding practice or slip catching practice if he's going to do that. And so some problems for India. They would be disappointed with that batting performance, particularly seeing Tendulkar was in such good form. He was playing so confidently and aggressively, but wickets just kept falling at the other end, and sooner or later that will deflate the best of batsmen, and I think that contributed to Tendulkar's downfall. So at the moment, Australia are on a bit of an upsurge, and India are going to have to turn that around pretty quickly.
And you mentioned the Indian batting there, particularly with Laxman, Dravid perhaps getting out to sort of shots that they might regret. Is there a way that they can turn it around in the next few days before Sydney?
Oh yeah, I mean they're experienced enough to turn it around. But the problem is you're talking about older players, and it gets harder for them to turn things around. And Dravid would be mortified to be bowled 3 times in the one game. Obviously, one of them didn't count because it was a no ball. But to have your sticks disturbed on 3 occasions, particularly when your nickname is the Wall, after the first innings it was probably a case of 1 more brick in the wall. Maybe it's 2 more bricks in the wall to fill that hole. So they've got some things to consider, and they're going to have to turn it around very quickly in Sydney, because Australia are on a bit of a roll. The fast bowlers have got the upper hand with the Indian batsmen, and it takes a bit to turn that around.
And the fast bowlers, it was all about building pressure, and from both ends there were very few poor periods from the Australian bowlers in the second innings. Is that something that they might be a bit up and down, being a developing sort of attack?
I think the consistency they showed in Melbourne was very encouraging. They maintained a very good line and length, and it was a very attacking, very aggressive line and length. A bit fuller than perhaps what we've seen from Australian bowlers recently. So, if you can maintain it for a full game, there's no reason why they can't turn around and do it again in Sydney.
And where do you think this match was won or lost from India's perspective? Was it that that spell in the Indian first innings where they lost a flurry of wickets?
Well, I think there were a few spots where India lost it, but it was the approach that lost it for them. I think in the fact that in the first innings Dhoni tends to go on the defensive when you've got the lower order players there. And if you look at the lower order runs that were scored in the first innings, and then really I think the final day went downhill for India right from the start. I mean, they had a wonderful opportunity with Pattinson on strike to finish that innings really quickly. But Dhoni, for some strange reason, took a very, very conservative approach. He pushed fielders back. I mean, as soon as you start giving away easy runs and you don't attack the opposition, then you let them have the momentum, and it put India on the back foot, and they really never ever recovered. It was just a downhill slide from that, and to me that was the pattern set by the captain, and it just permeated the whole team.
And you mentioned what India might need to do before the Sydney Test. Australia in the second innings, there was just Ponting and Hussey, and then Pattinson, who sort of made decent scores. Is there still a concern with the batting there?
Oh, there's definitely concerns with the Australian batting. That's far from fixed up. But they'll be encouraged by the fact that it now looks like there's some consistency there with the attack. They know they can bowl India out for reasonable scores. That also tends to give a bit of confidence to the batting lineup, because suddenly the batting lineup knows that if they can get 350 with their attack, they can win a cricket match. So it's now the bowlers have done their bit to get Australia on top in Melbourne. The batsmen have got to start contributing.
And just finally, Ian, will the Sydney Test, the pitch, the conditions favour either side?
Well, I think it'll be a little bit more for India's liking. I think there'll be a bit more encouragement for spin. I thought their quick attack bowled pretty well, but they just, they let Australia off the hook late in the innings, in both innings, and that's not down to the bowlers, that's down to the captain. So I think that's one area where they've got to change their approach. And as I say, I think they've got a major problem at the top of their batting order.
Ian Chappell, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, mate.